Hi everyone, and welcome back to our ability system series in UE4. In this series we've been covering how to create an ability system inside the blueprints. Now what we're doing in this episode is taking what we've done so far and now adding the ability to actually damage or heal or have an effect on the targets themselves based on these abilities. So because at the moment if I shoot a fireball in its direction, the fireball will just fly through it and do nothing. Okay, so we need to fix a few things here. So first of all, we're going to go into ability, first of all, we're going to go into edit project settings. And in the search details box, just search for channel. And you're looking for the object channels. And we're going to add a new object channel called target. And the default response is going to be block. Now this collision channel is going to be used to handle all collisions with possible targets. And it's one easy way of determining if something's a target or not and reacting accordingly. Because if we done just pawns, that won't work because our players also pawn as well, so we don't want the player to be hit by their own spells. So what we're going to do in the target parent is go in here and we're going to go scroll down with the capsule component selected, scroll down and change the collision preset now to the object type of target. Click compile and leave that as is. On the ability projectile, we're going to scroll down and look, on ability root here, scroll down to collision section, and we want to make sure that target is appearing in that list, which is there, and it's set to block. Okay, so hit save, and that's it there. So now this thing will hit both the walls and the pawns. To demonstrate this, I do that. There you go. Now the next thing we're going to do is make it so the fireball homes in on its target, because at the moment if I just shoot this way, even if I'm selected, it'll go that direction. I want it to home in on the target, but also I want to rotate the player to face the target. So let's first of all do the homing part. So go into your target, your ability projectile, and drag projectile movement out into the graph. And in there, you're going to set the homing target component. And this is going to be the target that you're going to be homing in on. This is going to come from the controller object, which we set up in the previous episode. So get controller, and it's right at the bottom. Get controller, it's the blue one. And from there, we can get the current target, and we need to give it a component because this requires a component. So we can grab the capsule component from our current target, that's its root. And there we go. Now to actually enable homing, click on your projectile movement component, and on the right hand side details panel, scroll down to find the homing section, tick it, and then add in the value of 10,000 as its strength. Hit compile. So now, even if I'm facing this way, for example, you'll see the fireball will home in on its target. Oh, if I had one selected, that is. There we go. Cool. So that's the homing bit done. We're now going to make it so the character is turning and facing the target. So to do that, we're going to go and on ability projectile, make it so that when this projectile spawns, it's going to rotate the player towards their target and like lock them on basically. So we need to get the player which we can get down here, get player ref, and we also want this current target as well. So I'm just going to copy these two nodes over and put them over here. So I need these both. I need the location of. So get actor location and get actor location. And we want to get from the location. We want to work out the rotation between these two, which we can get from dragging from the return value of our player reference location and typing in find look at rotation, and the target is going to be the target's location. This will give us a rotation, but we only want to affect the yaw of it. So right click on the return value and split it, because we only want the yaw. Next, we're going to grab the player reference out again. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And we're going to set the rotation. Oh. And we're going to split it and drag in the yaw to be the same there. The roll and pitch, we're going to get the current rotation and plug in the current values in there. So from the player reference here, get actor rotation, split this, and drag in your X and your Y from that. Hit compile. So now, when I select on a target and hit the fireball, my character will turn and face its target and shoot. Now, when testing, if I face, say, this way, away from the target, I'll hit the fireball, I'll rotate around, but notice what happens with the projectile. It flings itself forward, then it goes back. Again, if I face this side, the character changes, but the velocity direction of the fireball doesn't change until it homes in. So a quick fix for that, well, there's two ways of doing it. You can either increase the homing value, or you can tell it in projectile movement to initial velocity in local space to be false. And that'll tell it to use the absolute positioning rather than its own. So now if I face this way, you'll see it less egregious. Okay. Now as you see, if I push the fireball button while facing away from the target, it will rotate the actor, but you see the fireball has to adjust itself in its velocity. So if I face the other way, you'll see it fling backwards and back again. So to fix that, just go into projectile and just change the value here from 10,000. Let's increase this to 100,000. And now the time it takes to do that turning will be hard to distinguish. There you go. So that's the fireball projectile and its homing done. So what we need to do is make it so it registers a hit or impact on the character. So when the ability is destroyed, in this case on the projectile here, the fireball, event hit, before we destroy the actor, we want to apply damage. And we go apply damage. And the damaged actor is going to come from the other on the event hit. The base damage is going to be whatever damage you want it to do. So it may be, I don't know, 100 XP, 100 XP, 100 HP. Okay, whatever it may be, 100. Damage causer can be the player. And we get player ref. And we'll leave it like so. So apply damage, what that does, it will trigger an event. So on target parent, we're going to go on here and go any damage, and it's the event for any damage. Now damage we want to cause is going to be affecting the health. Now we've only got health normalized, so we need to change that by adding health max, and that's going to be a float, and health current, again a float. And I'm just going to compile these, and health max will do a health max value of 1500 and a health current of 1500. So the damage that's dealt is going to affect the health current, so drag that out and get health, and we want to take away a float, and that'd be the damage we are applying there, and then we're going to set it back to health current. Okay. Now with that done, we then want to recalculate our health normalized. So to do that, we go normalized to range. Health current will be the value. The range maximum will be health max. And we'll set health normalized from this return value. Okay. Now we've got the health being affected, we need to be able to communicate to the rest of the game that this target has been damaged. So I'm going to make an event dispatcher here and call it target damaged. And we're going to drag it out and call it at the end here. Basically going to shout out in pain, and anything that's listened to it will listen out for that pain. So with that done, we're going to then head over to our target UI. So let's go and find our target UI and go to the graph. In the graph, we're going to go to where we have update target UI, and this is where we get the target and setting the target. After we set the target, we're going to drag out and bind that event of target damaged, and we're going to insert that in there. And the event we're going to call is this current update target UI. Compile. So now when I go back to the game, I hit this key and you should see the fireball affect the target health. Perfect. So the other thing we want to do is make it so it spends our player's mana. So for that, we're going to go and go to our player character. On your player character, we're going to make two functions. So go into your functions and add two of them. The first one's going to be called check mana, and this is going to be a simple function which just checks how much mana we actually do have, and returns back true or false accordingly. So let's do this one first of all, as it is very easy to do. So on check mana, we're going to have one input, and that's going to be mana cost. And that will be a float. And we're going to check if that is less than or equal to the mana normalized. We're using normalized because we are making a percentage based mana system. And this will actually, we don't need a branch, we can just put it straight into an output. So click on check mana, go output, and the output parameter for this is going to be called success, and will be a boolean. So this will output true or false if we have enough mana. This is important for things like when we want it to actually cast the ability. So go to your ability parent and find the begin casting function. So before it checks all of this, we're going to check how much mana we actually do have. So we need to get the player reference, so drag player reference out, and from there we're going to check mana. The mana cost is going to come from ability details, which we've got already here. So we go cost into there, and this outputs true or false. So what we can do here is do a branch, and if it's true, it'll continue on with the casting of the spell. If it's false, that's if we want it, then we can show like a notification or a sound effect to indicate that we have not got enough mana. So I hit compile, and we're done there. Next is actually spending of the mana. So going back to your third person character and make a new function, and this is going to be spend mana. By the way, if you haven't done so, you need to add your mana current, mana max, and mana normalized as variables here. And mana current I'm going to set to 500, mana max I'm going to set default value to 500, and mana normalized we'll set to 1 because it'll be 1. You need these things set up. I can't remember if I showed these on video or not, but you need these set up for health and mana. Okay, carry on. So spend mana, we need a mana cost associated to this. And that'll be a float. Remember, this is normalized, so it is a percentage. So we want to just get mana normalized out and do mana normalized minus mana cost, and set that back to mana normalized. We then want to affect the mana current and mana max. So mana normalized, we're going to multiply this by another float, and that other float is going to be the mana max. And this will work out what percentage of the value we actually have left, so we can set that back into mana current. Okay, and there's your spend mana function. So we're getting the mana cost, we're taking it away from mana normalized because it is a percentage. So for example, if we have like 0.8 of our mana left, and we take away 10% of that, so 0.1, we're left with 0.7. 0.7 gets saved back into mana normalized. We multiply mana normalized by mana max, which will get us the new mana current. Whew. Okay, so that would do for there. Now go back to your ability, parent that is, and so begin casting will happen, and it will either display a cast bar or go straight to cast ability. So we want the cast ability function. On the cast ability function, we've got detach from actor. After that, we're going to get the player reference out and do spend mana. And the mana cost is going to come from ability details, which I can split open just to get the cost. And hit compile. So with that done, we then want to tell the HUD to update its progress bars to match the player's stats. So let's go into our action bar, which has all our health bars on. Health bar and mana bar. And on the health bar, we are going to set up a function to update and construct our details for those bars. So let's do the construction first. So on event construct, we need to get hold of the player character. So get player character, and cast that to your third person character. And I'm going to store that as a reference for later use by promoting it to a variable and call it player reference. On the construction, we can use that player reference to set up the progress bars. So on the first one, I'm going to click on the health and change the name of it here. Oh, sorry, on the health bar, we're going to change that to health bar. Make sure it is visible. And then we're going to go into the second one and call this one mana bar, like so. We're also going to make these values change as well. So on the health bar one, we're going to change the name of it here to health text and tick the is variable. And on the mana one, mana text, again ticking is variable. Compile that, return back to your graph. Now on the construct, we're going to hook those up to our player reference. So we're going to first of all set the bars up. So the health bar, we're going to get and do set %. And we're going to do mana bar, get and set %. These values are going to come from the player reference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another function, or another event rather, down here. So I'm going to go and make a custom event and call it update bars. And update bars is going to feed it into this one and then this one. The value is going to come from the player reference. So drag your player reference variable out and choose get. And we're going to get health normalized. And then get mana normalized. We're also going to change the text. So drag your health text out, get set text. And then from there, format text. And the format for this is going to be health, open bracket, and then open curly bracket. And this would be current, close curly bracket, / open curly bracket, max, close curly bracket, close parentheses. Hit enter. We can now plug in a current value and a max value. So I'm going to get my play reference back out here. Get health current, health max, and they all plug in to those things there. Now duplicate that pretty much identically for the mana one. So mana text, set text, and then format text. And I'll copy this directly out like so. Just change it, same health to mana. And we're going to get the play reference, mana max, mana current, and they'll plug in those pins. So hit compile. We now are going to hook up our about update bars to the end of the construct here. So update bars and click compile. If I push play now. Oh, I forgot to set my health value as something. So let's go back to my player character and set my health value. So health current we'll do is 2000. Health max is 2000. And health normalized at 1. Hit compile. Play. So there you go. You can see the health and mana bars are now hooked up to the player because it's now showing those values correctly. So now I need to make it so that when I receive damage or lose mana, it affects these bars. So we can only test the mana one, but we'll set it up for health as well. On the player character, when we spend the mana, we need to set up a call to that update bars function. So this update bars function actually already exists on our HUD because our HUD has an action bar in it. So my third person character here, if I can get hold of my game mode and my HUD and everything else, I can call that. Alternatively, I can set up a dispatcher, and an event dispatcher may be a bit better and quicker to organize. So on the event dispatcher, we're going to do let's do request update UI, and we'll call that at the end of this spend mana function. Hit compile. Go back to your action bar UI, and with the player reference we can drag that out and bind event on request to update UI, and you probably guessed it, or you drag the event pin to update bars. So now hit play. If I was to spend one, this should update my mana bar like so. Taking away what looks like 10% each time. Okay, and because it's set up with an event dispatcher on my player, and then go into my event graph and call the event of any damage, and with any damage here we can do the request update UI at the end of whatever damage we receive. So let's quickly add that in there, and it's going to be mostly what you saw in the spend mana. So damage is going to be an actual hard amount. So damage type, we'll come in here and do health current. So health current minus damage. And I'm going to set that back to health current. From there, we can normalize to range. And the range max is going to be health max, and that will output into the health normalized. And we can plug that into the end there of call request update UI. So now that will work for health and mana. And that's it for this episode. It's been quite a long one because we've had to cover quite a few necessary parts, but our UI is now hooked up to our ability system along with our spending of mana and spending of health. So it's been a long one, but thank you so much for making it this far. We're almost at the end of our ability system series. We've got a few extra things to sort out, such as the being able to drag in and drag out new abilities from your spellbook, as well as some key binding stuff as well. Thanks very much for watching. If you want to watch the next episode right now, head over to patreon.com/RyanDaily, where $1 will get access to that video plus many others. Big thank you to all my supporters so far on YouTube memberships and on Patreon for their support. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.